Congresswoman Foxx.
Thank you very much for yielding. The title of this hearing suggests that, quote, big oil, end quote, is running a disinformation campaign designed to prevent action on the climate. However, it's clear that this hearing is part of a Democrat-led disinformation campaign to distract from the Biden administration's failed policies that are hurting average Americans. The Biden administration has injected instability into the energy sector by canceling the Keystone XL pipeline and discouraging domestic exploration and new development. Then once gas prices predictably started rising, President Biden even turned to our competitors, as already been noted, at OPEC and asked them to bail him out. As of this morning, $3.39 per gallon gas is the average price of gas in America, which is the highest since the Obama-Biden administration. Do we see a pattern here? This hurts families in my district and across the nation who now have to decide which items on their grocery list they cannot buy and what trips they can no longer afford to take. Today's hearing is meant to distract from this harsh reality facing families and shift blame from the Biden administration's failed policies to the private sector. And since the Democrats aren't interested in asking about this, I want to take a moment to ask Mr. Woods, Ms. Watkins, Mr. Worth, Mr. Lawler, to tell us what your companies are doing to transition to lower carbon energy.
Well, thank you for the question, Congresswoman. It's an important one, and one that we've been focused on for quite some time, is striking the balance of continuing to meet the growing demand for energy while reducing emissions. Natural gas has been pointed out as one step towards replacing higher emission fuel systems. We are also working on reducing our own emissions at our plant. And from 2016 to 2020, as I've mentioned, we've reduced by 11% and have plans for more aggressive reductions going forward.
On the other witnesses, I'm going to have to ask you to cut it real short because I only have about 2 minutes left. So the others, can you give me real short answers?
Congresswoman, thank you for the question. At Shell, we believe climate change is a real challenge that's facing the world. We plan to continue to play a role in that, both by continuing to produce low greenhouse gas hydrocarbons here in the U.S., but over time, those will go down and increasing, hopefully, the demand from our customers in collaboration with governments for low and no carbon fuels, like electricity generated by solar or wind, or like hydrogen. And so we're very much in action on both setting targets for ourselves, but also working with our customers, working with society in order to accelerate.
Thank you. Mr. Worth.
Congresswoman, our strategy is simple. Be a leader in low carbon production of traditional energy that the world needs today while growing lower carbon businesses. And we're doing this in 3 ways. First, we're taking steps toward net zero by 2050 for upstream scope 1 and 2 emissions. Second, we're taking steps to address scope 3 emissions by growing lower carbon business lines and establishing a new metric for the full value chain of our business. And third, we've committed to invest more than $10 billion on lower carbon and carbon reduction projects.
Thank you. Unfortunately, Mr. Lawler, I have almost run out of time, and I need to ask a question of Mr. Summers. So I wonder if you could submit your answer in writing. Mr. Summers, despite some of the rhetoric from your critics, it's clear from the things you've said and others have said that meaningful steps to reduce emissions from operations have already been done. Could you describe any other effort in about 30 seconds that are underway in some of the planned industry initiatives that haven't been mentioned?
Congresswoman, thank you, and great to be with you today. First of all, the API Climate Action Framework, which can be found at api.org/climate, is our forward-leaning agenda to address the challenge of climate change. In addition to that, since 2017, the American Petroleum Institute has had a program called the Environmental Partnership, which is all about how we reduce methane emissions within our own operations. This program has had measurable success, and we're continuing to reduce methane operations within the oil and gas industry. We're proud of all of that work, and we look forward to expanding that work over time.
Thank you, Mr. Summers. I yield back to the gentleman from South Carolina.
Thank you, Ms. Fox. I now yield